everybody, welcome back to the channel today. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over how usable Windows 7 is in the Big 26. So I can't believe it's almost been 6 years since support for this operating system ended. It has really gone by so quick. And it pains me to say that this is the first time I will not be making a current state of this operating system actually using it on real hardware. My time came. It was like that. It's like that meme with that fucking rabbit pointing at the Glock. I updated my graphics card to an RDNA 4 GPU, and Windows 7 just doesn't run on them. So unfortunately, I was forced to upgrade to a very modified version of Windows 10. It took me a while to get it to run the way I wanted to. I ended up with Reunity 7, which it literally is a one-of-one copy of Windows 7. But just with the Windows 7 kernel. But anyway, I'm going to be showing you guys how usable this operating system is in the Big 26. So before I get into this video, I want to, lay out the groundwork for what I mean by usable. So, just about what 90% of people would do on the internet, which is just, browsing the web, watching YouTube videos, maybe going on social media. That's what most people have to use their computer for. And, probably office work, like writing documents, maybe, like looking at PDFs, just kind of like the business casual stuff you do on a computer. So the current ISO I'm using for, Windows 7 is, I'm not going to say any more, or else, fucking AI, the YouTube AI is going to kick my ass into the ground. So I'm just not going to say anything on that, but, it's right here. If you need this, you know where to get it. But I'm just going to close that out now. Shh. But anyway, I'm going to be going into what comes with Windows 7. So any modern ISO, like anything after 2020, when you open Internet Explorer, it is practically going to get on its hands and knees and do anything to beg you to install Edge. And I'd recommend doing that because it's much easier to install stuff with Edge than it is Internet Explorer. But if we were to go into Edge, let's just see what Microsoft cooks up for us. Let's see what they give us. They give us a version of Edge that is about 3 years out of date. So version 109 was the last version of Google Chrome to work on Windows 7. So anything that corresponds to it, like Opera GX, Vivaldi, Edge, any Chromium-based web browser, Brave, all of these have been out of support for about 3 years. So I would not recommend using this web browser at all. There's probably a lot of security holes in this browser that haven't patched. It would be more dangerous to use this version of Edge than it would be to run an out-of-date version of Windows. So when it comes to modern web browsing, we are looking pretty fucking good. So just for a little bit of context, okay, let's take another OS for example, like Windows fucking Vista, right? 5 years out of its existence. So support ended in 2017, so 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, about 5 years. So that's 2022, right? I just want to put that into perspective for you that Windows 7 is in, like, I don't even know how to put it into words. Like, I just think all you need to know is that time comparison, and it just tells you how long it's been since Microsoft has supported Windows 7 and where it could have been at. Windows Vista at this time, I think the extended kernel just came out stably, but in that time, the only real thing you had for web browsing was like MyPal, Pale Moon. It didn't really have any web browsers. So the first web browser we're going to take a look at is Supermium by Win32. He made the extended kernel for Windows Vista, ironically enough. So if we head on to about Supermium, this version of Chrome is based on 138. This came out in June of 2025. So that's a pretty big difference going from a web browser that was last maintained in early 2023 to mid 2025. This is much more usable than Microsoft Edge and a lot more secure, but it still is 5 months deprived of any updates. So I would be a little wary when using this, but you probably won't be at too much of risk, right? Because you have to understand, in the modern age of computing, most of not all patches to where somebody can just rat your computer through a web browser without you downloading anything are basically gone, right? There's too many safe walls on modern web browsers for that to happen. So you should be fine with this version of Chrome. And, there's newer ones that I'll show you later on. There's a version of Chrome that's based on something newer than this, but it's a little more, wobbly. But anyway, if we wanted to, like say we want to go to YouTube, for example, everything works perfectly fine on Supermium, right? So, it's just let's say we're having our cup of coffee and we want to watch, oh my god, luxurious motorhomes. No fucking way. let the fucking cups of coffee is in my hand. I have 27 toolbars up top here because I'm a single mom who, just does nothing all day. Bridges, God, I don't even, how does that qualify? I would have thought like the Golden Gate Bridge or something. No, like a fucking bridge in like El Paso, Texas. That's what they give me.
If you have type
I gotta
2,
watch an ad.
sugar
Oh
is
yeah.
actually your
Oh
best
my
friend.
God, yes. I
Yes,
love
you
type
heard
2
that right.
diabetes. It's my favorite.
Welcome to
Oh
Car
my.
Tech.
Oh yeah. Oh, look at fucking that. Is that a Bugatti? Like what car? I'm not good with cars. So like a fucking Bugatti. Is that Andrew Tate's Bugatti going into this mobile home? Like what is this, bro? Like who's gonna put a luxury sports car in a motorhome, bro? That's fucking retarded. Anyway, so that works. Oh, the war on drugs with Trump and Venezuela. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm not verifying who I am. Fuck that. But anyway, okay. Let's say you wanted to go on the hellhole of the internet. Let's say you wanted to go on Reddit. Oh God, I bless your soul if you actively browse this platform on a daily basis. Okay, let's go on to it. Oh yes, American politics. Can't wait to look at that. God, like our country's such a joke. Like most of my viewers watching this are probably from America. It is fucking rough right now, bro. But anyway, as we can see, everything runs perfectly fine. So I'm a Phoenix Suns fan. So let's say I wanted to go on the most degenerate NBA Reddit known to mankind. I'd probably the Lakers, probably. Let's go to the Phoenix Bums. So yeah, it's like, as we can see, perfectly fine. I can, look at the subreddit perfectly fine. So I mean, like everything about this works, right? Like you're not gonna find anything in this web browser to where purely because of the fact you're on Windows 7 running a browser you shouldn't, you're not gonna see anything not work. Everything will run perfectly fine under this build of Supermium. Only concern is that it's 5 months out of date, but I guarantee you Win32 will probably come out with a newer version probably by the end of this month, probably based on like 141 or 142. He's still actively making web browsers. I don't know why it's based on a 5 month. Like, I don't know why. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything because I don't know. I haven't been active in the communities I used to. I'm just going over, kind of everything that's still here. But in terms of Chromium-based web browsing, you have that. Now, here's the other build of Chrome that I'm going to show you. So, let me show you this guy's GitHub real quick. I'm going to try to pronounce his name. You can find him on GitHub. His name's Blajakovic, I think. I don't know what that is. But this guy makes a lot of modern cracks. So as we can see, he makes a Google Chrome Windows 7 crack and a Mozilla Firefox Windows 7 crack. So not only is it just Google, but he also cracks Brave, Spotify, Opera, Opera GX, Edge, Vivaldi, Electron, Ungoogled, like I think it's stock trading app, Discord, Draw.io. But here's the problem with this. So he still does stuff for Chrome. So he made a patch for Chrome 141 that's focused on privacy. I'm pretty sure, I think, like privacy, user agent spoofer. So yeah, I'm going to assume that this is, a little more fine-tuned for privacy than the average build of Chrome. But he is still active on this. The last version he made was October 13th, so not even 2 months. And, he does stuff for Tor as well. Tor ended support for Windows 7, so if you wanted to, use the Tor network, you still could easily do that under the pretense of Windows 7. Or I don't necessarily know if it's a crack or if it's just providing the files to crack. I'm pretty sure this is just providing the files to crack it. But, like with everything else, this is out of date, unfortunately. So if we were to head over to Opera GX, this is based on Chrome 115. So, from last year or 2 years ago till now, it is definitely getting harder to run this operating system, and there definitely are a lot more abandoned projects than there were at that time. So, unfortunately, almost 6 years into Windows 7's EOL, it is getting pretty hard to use. I would say it's easier to maintain Linux at this point than it is to run Windows 7, which that wasn't the case like 3 years ago, right? Like if you just wanted something that was still somewhat usable, Windows 7 still worked pretty great for you. But, Linux has gotten so good in the past few years to where it's like I would just honestly make the argument for most of Windows, right? For Windows 11 compared to like CachyOS, I would argue Cache is easier for the average consumer. But, as we can see, it still works. So let's say we wanted, Discord. This is just, a custom patch you can do yourself for Discord. It's not really a file. But say you wanted to use Discord, right? So say we're on like Supermium or anything else, you can just use the web app, right? So I don't know if I can do it without logging in, but say I wanted to go to Discord, download, like, can you get a web app on this? I'm pretty sure there has to be a way. Collections. Oh, I'm on Edge, no wonder. Let me go on Supermium. Like, say you wanted to go on Discord, right? You could still log in through the web browser, and it would still work perfectly fine. There wouldn't really be anything that wouldn't really work. So it is possible. So say like if you just wanted to, browse the web, use Discord, you could still do that perfectly fine. And we haven't even gotten into the other browsers yet. So let me finally show you guys the browser real quick. So 141, if you just come to here, Chrome, we can see that it works perfectly fine. So you can tell this is newer. Chrome 141, let me see. One release date. This came out September 30th. So this is substantially newer than what Supermium is offering. So I would recommend using this over Supermium just due to the fact it is newer. What's going on with XRP? 100%. I'll be a millionaire if that shit goes up 100%. There is no fucking way. I swear, the more they hype up XRP, like the more it goes down. Like fucking Peter Thiel could come out himself and say he's buying $1 trillion of XRP, and it would go to fucking 3 rupees the following day. That's just how the crypto. That's how volatile the crypto market is, bro. Like it's crazy. But this works great. Probably better than Supermium. I think it's a little faster. And that is the thing, right? If you had Aeroglass, you would not get it with this version of Chrome. But just to prove that it is, about this, my Google Chrome version 741. I'm just going to assume that's modified. It should be 141, but yeah, it works perfectly fine. So let's say I wanted to head back to YouTube. This is definitely quicker. Say I wanted to back to there. Say I wanted. This is the first time in my life typing these words in fucking Tumblr. Just imagine asking for a bad bitch's fucking IG and he says, "No, daddy, I use fucking Tumblr." Like, what is Tumblr used for? Like, I'm genuinely curious. Like, what is on here? This is like, oh, okay. I could get used to Tumblr, but, Tumblr Premium. like, what are you doing? If you're paying for Tumblr Premium, like, dog, what? You know, maybe I'm just, maybe I just don't see the vision. Maybe I don't see the potential in Tumblr Premium. You know what? I'm gonna have to look into Tumblr after this video. I'm gonna start posting my shit on there because I'm one strike away from getting my channel taken away. So if my channel gets taken down, check Tumblr. I might be on there. But yeah, as you can see, I'm not really a big fan of AI. How I used to be. Like, I'm for private AI, but like this I just hate. But anyway, like as you can see, this works perfectly fine. You're not really missing out as much. So if you wanted to just browse the web, and we haven't got into the Firefox yet, let me show you guys that. So this is R3D Fox. This is based off Firefox 144. It comes with uBlock origin as well. You can do everything you would ever want to on this. So if your main goal is just web browsing purely, that's all you want to do. Like, let's say you live in a third world country and your computer is old, like a Pentium machine, and like theoretically it could run on Windows 10, but you're kind of in the same situation without security updates unless you wanted to go with something like LTSC. But the problem is, right, like your computer may be able to run 10, but it might just run it horribly compared to Windows 7. Like that's like a great reason for why somebody would still be running Windows 7 in the year 2026. But most people who are running this are just computer elitists, like kind of how I was back then. There's not really a lot of people that have any need to run Windows 7. Like if you're running it, 10 would probably run just as good. Like a modified version of Windows 10, not standard Windows 10. You may like LTSC, maybe deep load it, but Windows 7 is still perfectly usable for terms of just modern web browsing. Like if all I wanted to do was just browse the web, just chill on my computer, you could still 100% do that in 2026 on Windows 7, and probably for years to come, honestly, because even if Supermium isn't as maintained as regularly as it is, Win32 is a very solid guy. He's been, doing all this stuff for a while. I don't see him ever quitting development for Supermium. He's very passionate about the project. He's a hard worker. I just would never see him just quitting support for it. Kind of same thing with R3D Fox. Like the community behind it's really strong. And the thing with R3D Fox too is that it's completely open source. So if somebody were to if the original maintainer were to stop working on it, somebody could easily just pick it up. They could fork it, and boom, you're back up and running again. So I could see web browsing being feasible for the foreseeable future. And here's the cool thing with this web browser: it comes with a community that like they make mods, they make hardware. So I mean, like this community keeps Windows 7 alive. So if we were to come to compatibility mods, DirectX 12 for Windows 10 1507 on Windows 7 8 8.1, that's pretty interesting. Patched NVIDIA drivers, I looked at that. That was like 4.7.4, so not really anything new. Blender for Windows 7, I'm going to go over that pretty recently. You don't need to do this. You can use the extended kernel. But, Sonic Mania on Windows Vista, that's pretty interesting. So yeah, with this web browser, there's a deep community behind it. Everything. They even have one of the latest versions. That's not one of the latest, but a relatively modern version of Workstation. VMware Workstation 16.2.4. It's pretty good. I would prefer VMware though. So like Dolphin, getting rid of program publicist. This community is still pretty active. It might not be as active as it once used to be, but it is still pretty active by people who care deeply about Windows 7. So one thing I also want to go over too is what's the extended kernel looking like on Windows 7? So I remember I made a video back on it about a year ago, and there wasn't really an extended kernel at the time. It was development. Now, .exe has made extended kernels, but it's a little complex because I used to be, or I am in that Discord server. I just haven't been active in it for months. And this is to my understanding is that he has shifted his extended kernel onto his version of VX Kex. So the original maker of VX Kex just stopped development. He halted everything. He deleted his GitHub. There was a lot of fakes that went around, and .exe has been maintaining it for the past 6 months. So I had it up here before I started recording the video, so you guys can download it. I could probably just type it in and it would come up. So vxkex.exe, and this is the website, trashnet.org. This is where you download it. So this is a pretty cool project, and this definitely does enhance program compatibility. So we're going to be trying a few things to get up and running. So, for instance, I had Blender. Where the fuck did it go? Blender. Here it is. Here we go. So this is the latest version of Blender. So if we try running Blender right now, and now keep in mind I have it installed. So you want to download the file, and you want to run it. Where do I have it saved at? Here. So, and then you just want to run that. It's just 2 clicks. You just press yes, and it installs. So what it does is that it enables the option for you to have kernel add-ons. And this allows programs that were made for Windows 10 and even Windows 11 to run perfectly fine under 7. So let's take Blender here, for example. This is the latest version of it. If we were to go and install it, this application only supports on Windows 8.1, Windows Server 26 and higher. So this is a really easy program for VX Kex to work on, because if it supports 8.1, you know damn well as a witch's tit that it runs on Windows 7. Like that's a load of horse shit. So all we got to do is just right-click, Properties, VX Kex, enable VX Kex for this program, report a different version of Windows. So we're gonna say 10. You could even do 11, but we'll just do 10. And as we go through, run, preparing to install, as we can see, it now installs. So I don't know if the actual program itself works, but this makes the installer work. If it ever goes through, I might have spoken too soon. Oh, no. Damn, okay, so maybe if you extract, like if you get a portable version, this could probably work, because it's only seeming like the installer. Yeah, so that thing that we saw earlier for it on the Clips community is probably a portable version. I would have to, say that. So it runs, but it's just the installer is going through deep kernel level checks to see what operating system it is. So if you were to get the port here, let's try getting a portable version of Blender. I guarantee you that will work. If it runs on 8.1, I don't see how there could be any compatibility issues with Windows 7 in that regard. So portable, download Blender, installer, 5.0. Can you even get portable officially? Because I want 5.0. Like, I don't want an older version. Clips community. So, I'm pretty sure you can. Let me go to compatibility mods. We saw Blender in here when we went over Blender for Windows 7, May 2025. Blender Compact. So this guy has been making Blender patches for a while. So the last patch for Windows 7 on Blender is 4.30. So some apps like this are starting to slow down, but you can still get relatively modern builds of Blender on Windows 7. So I'm pretty sure the last official version of Blender was like 2 years ago, but the problem is it hasn't really changed much, and it still just runs on 7. Despite them, like that's kind of the main case for a lot of programs. They can still easily run on 7, but like 3 lines of code get changed, and they do deep kernel level checks to verify, you're actually running, NT10 or whatever kernel that they're demanding. So it could work if there was a portable version. If there is, I guarantee it would work. But here's something that surprised me. So Steam is not using VX Kex. I tried this off camera, but it. Let's see if it works on video. There's a high chance. Since I'm recording now, it's probably not gonna work. But let's see. That's going to take 7,000 years. But yeah, as we can see, Steam just works. I don't know if you can download games. I don't know how this would operate once you log into your Steam account. But it just works. So like if you wanted to log into Steam, maybe download some offline games, that could still be a possibility on Windows 7 in the year 2026. I don't know how long this will work, but it could work if you wanted it to. So let's try Epic Games Installer. So I'm curious. So 1703. Okay, so VX Kex could be able to, get the job done on that end. So let's enable VX Kex for this program. Okay, apply. Let's start running this again. Damn, so like they're doing this is dick riding to the finest, bro. Like they are doing deep kernel level checks to make sure that you're running Windows 10. Like we're this is what our tax dollar is going. Like our tax dollar is going to. So fucking Tim Sweeney can incorporate kernel level checking for the Epic Games. Like what are we doing, dude? Like, it's not that deep. Like, if it runs on 1703, it runs on 7. Like, I can promise you that. Like, all of these, every single block we have seen is from Blender, and Epic is artificial. Like, I'm telling you, it could easily fucking run. Especially on, like, a 1070. Oh, damn, okay, installation has failed. That was just abrupt. They didn't even give me a fucking screen or anything. It just said, nope. Different version of Windows. You could so this is a Electron based app, and from my knowledge, VX Kex does fucking Discord. This is how it's gonna be. Let's can we get a portable version of Discord? Guarantee a portable version would probably work. Let's try getting Discord portable. So damn, so VX Kex might go 0 for 3. That's crazy. So portable apps, Discord. So, what version? Okay, so this came out in July, so I would count this as modern. I would say portableapps.io is safe. So we're going to keep this. Anyway. Discord portable, run, next. Understand the notice. Yes, install. Finish. Okay, let's see here. Is there a folder? Where did said folder go? Am I just on fentanyl? Where the hell's the folder? Well, fuck me, I guess. It just didn't install. Am I just blind? Am I clinically retarded? Discord said that's the same thing. Wow. Bro, I'm like Celtics Shaq, where I am washed up. Okay, well, let's try this again. Run as administrator this time. Understand the notice. Portable apps. So, did that save in C? Okay, it's saved in just C. Okay, that's weird. I've never had an app save. Or a subfolder there. Portable app. Okay, so this is Electron. So kernel 32. I think VX Kex might be able to, work some magic here. If it's not, well, let's just go fuck myself. And the tension builds. Is it gonna work? We can look at the image in 4K. That's nice. I don't want to open that. I'm gonna get really thuggish to the bones. I was gonna say I'm gonna try Supermium Electron, but that's like a year and a half out of date, bro. That's not gonna work. Damn, so this is kind of sad to see. So even with the extended kernel, I don't even know if I'm doing it right, but that's one of the latest builds of VX Kex, and it's just not running modern programs the way it was a few years ago, bro. So Windows 7, in terms of how usable it is definitely noticeably regressed. Okay, that's like easy to say at this point, right? Modern web browsers kind of hanging on by a thread. I hope Win32, I think he'll maintain Supermium for time to come, but it's kind of looking dark, man. I can't even lie. If you really wanted to, right? Like if your PC was so horrendous and all you were doing was just web browsing, maybe making like stuff like I am, like you want to use an old build of OBS, like VLC, like yeah, you could do it. Would I recommend it? No. But before I close out this video, one more thing that I want to show you guys is you can get security updates on Windows 7 until 2026. So thanks to this update pack, I probably don't have anybody viewing this right now because everybody's attention span is the size of a small Dorito. Let's go to history. Dang, I had it up before, so let me just... Bing. Here we go. So unofficial service pack updates. So there is a unofficial service pack for Windows 7. It is unofficial service pack 3, and it will get you security updates until 2026. So this pulls updates from Windows embedded POS and allows you to install it on regular commercial Windows 7. So if we were to just come here, just run the update pack, it will install all updates, and it will make it to where you can get security updates just by going to Windows Update. So this is pretty cool, and I have shown this a few times in videos of the past, but it was a lot harder to obtain this back then. You had to go to some like fucking Russian website and navigate through it. But now, thanks to this, I'm pretty sure this merges the same update from that previous update pack. But we can get updates until 2026. So I just want to show you guys the basic installation of this. I'm not going to do it on video because it would require like 4 restarts. Like, it's all automated, but it's kind of like a process. So this is something you'd have to like sit down and do for like 20 minutes. I'm gonna make a this kind of just shows how useful it is. But I plan on making a survival guide for Windows 7. This text has actually been downloaded, so from there, I'm pretty sure that's it says become program. Yes, okay. So this I have covered this before. So this is updated. So yep. So it's made by the same guy. This is the guy who makes it. So as we can see here, this would install the service pack update, and this would get us Windows Server updates. So you just click that, and then you can get updates till 2026. So in terms of security and web browsing, and like one more thing I wanted to show you guys is LibreOffice. So this is a portable version of LibreOffice. If I can ever find the goddamn thing, where the fuck did I go? Bro, like, I can't find shit, bro. Where is it? I had it on here, bro. Where could it possibly have gone? Here we go. LibreOffice Portable. So, it was, unquote, the first build to not support Windows 7. But this is like 25.2 of LibreOffice. So, we say we go to LibreOffice Writer. You could still easily make documents on this. You can make PowerPoints. You can upload them on Gmail. Like, office use and just web browsing is still perfectly doable on Windows 7. Like, even with security updates. So, I would say for a good, like, 80% of people, I'm going to say 80 because things like Discord don't work. And I would say a lot more people today use something like Discord than, say, like 5 years ago. I feel like it's become more mainstream. But for 75 to 80% of people who just browse the internet casually, you could still use Windows 7. Now, obviously, in the right pretense, you have to know what you're doing. You have to have the modern web browsers, the security updates, all that good stuff. But you could. Like, if you really, really wanted to, you could. And, that's the cool thing about it. But, I kind of showed you guys everything there is. Supermium, R3D Fox, those, that guy, Lockovich, who makes stuff, the Clips community, VX Kex. That's kind of all Windows 7 has going for it right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.